If you've watched a lot of Federer's matches, you've seen this play 1,000 times. But today we're digging deep into one of Roger's favorite plays so you can use it in your next match. What's up team, Coach Joshua here from TennisTactics.com, and I'm breaking down a new tennis tactic every week. All the plays I show you are part of my unique tennis tactics system where I have cataloged and coded hundreds of tennis patterns and plays, and now I'm rolling out my system to help you win more matches. This week we're looking at tactic 11340, so let's draw it out. But first, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel so I can bring you more tennis tactics. Alright, so we're looking at a service tactic that has incredible potential to produce short balls. Roger made good use of this throughout his career, and if you learn to recognize it and run it, you're going to be holding serve with iron hands. The play looks something like this. You're the server on the deuce side, and you serve wide and you serve hard. This pulls your opponent into the doubles alley and sets you up to spread the court. If you're playing a righty, the serve goes to your opponent's forehand. And in this play, you see them direct the ball towards the middle of the court, but kind of on the ad side. So from here, you as the server take ball 3 and drive it deep into your opponent's ad corner, completing the spread. And if you want to do it like Roger, you put in the extra work to run around the backhand, instead firing this deep cross-court shot with an inside-out forehand. And that's the play. It's not subtle. It's about recognizing an opportunity to play attacking tennis right from the start of the point. And maybe you're watching this thinking, I've seen this before. But the gold is really in the details of this play. Rewatching our point with Federer reveals two things that make his take on this tactic extra deadly. Roger got a lot of credit for how dangerous his forehand is, but what really made this a repeatable tactic for him was how quickly he moves around his opponent's return. The footwork skills here often go under-noticed and under-trained. If you want to run this play successfully, practice the footwork, practice moving around this ball. Now the next thing is also movement related. After hitting a spectacular inside-out forehand like this, a lot of us would watch for a second, hoping to ourselves that our opponent couldn't get it back. Not Roger. As good as he was, he knew his real strength was using this play as a setup shot to keep applying pressure to his opponent. So he recognizes that he has successfully stretched Joker out. And since he's on the run, Nole is more likely to roll this backhand a little higher, trying to get it deep in the court. So Roger springs into action and moves forward to take this ball out of the air as a volley. Applying this kind of court pressure to your opponent really keeps them on their toes. That's a tactic for another video, but notice as you're coming forward, you're taking away your opponent's reaction time, and that does some real damage. Let's watch it again. Now I realize not everyone's comfortable playing such attacking tennis. This is aggressive, and if I'm being honest, I think it's probably not until you're about a UTR 9 that you really need to develop this specific tactic. But if you want to build the foundations early, here's how I think about this play. 1. Be working on your wide serve. Try to make sure your opponent is making contact with the ball in the doubles alley here. And it's just pattern recognition. When you see your opponent hit their return from the doubles alley and their ball comes in and it's landing deep middle, but on the ad side, do everything you can to run around that ball and hit it as a forehand. And on this shot, I want you to see this target in your mind. And that's all I want you to worry about. But we're building this skill. If my opponent returns here, then I hit here. Strategically, this will let you start the point with your forehand and will force your opponent to start the point with their backhand. And this is usually a favorable matchup. Now, once you're repeatedly making this ball and nailing the movement pattern, you can start to dial up the aggression level as much as you feel comfortable, until eventually you're looking at that deep cross-court target I outlined earlier and you're coming in after it. But take it one step at a time. So let's analyze how effective this play is compared to some others. Remember, we want to analyze tactics in terms of how risky they are to execute and how much damage they do to our opponent. I would honestly give this tactic a low risk rating, especially if your forehand is your stronger shot. Note that as the return comes in, you're going to be hitting ball 3 through the long line of the court, and you have the benefit of being able to catch it a little later. And from a position standpoint, you control the center of the court the whole time while your opponent goes from coast to coast. The biggest risk is your own greed. Don't miss wide. When it comes to how much damage this tactic does, this is an aggressive play. It's exactly the type of attacking tennis that made Roger such a difficult opponent on the tour. Note the combination of two of the more offensively capable shots, the serve and the forehand. Hitting a serve and a forehand at the start of the point is a great way to tilt the odds in your favor, and if you haven't heard of this before, it's commonly talked about as a serve +1. So this tactic is especially useful when your opponent is returning to the middle of the court, when your opponent has a weaker backhand, and you are feeling really confident in your forehand. These points can be short, and will often end with a forced error from your opponent, and that's exactly the type of play that wins matches. We don't need the winners, it's not the flashiest. It's about applying pressure. And remember, there's an element to tennis that's really just pattern recognition. You gotta know when to run this play. So thinking through tactics like this is a great way to take your game to the next level. Now you understand how to use this tennis tactic, hit the courts and give it a try. Would love to hear how it goes in the comments. If you want to learn more tennis tactics, I'll be dropping a ton of free content here on YouTube. So go ahead, like this video, subscribe to my channel, maybe ring the bell. I'll be dropping video lessons from my tactics library at least once a week, and you don't want to miss them. And if you want even more tennis tactics, head on over to my website, TennisTactics.com, and sign up for my email list. Until then, hit your targets. We'll talk soon.